Hello, and a very warm welcome to English with Jack. It is fantastic to have you here as we continue our journey towards fluency and confidence in spoken English. My aim with this channel is to provide you with engaging content that bridges the gap between classroom theory and the real world. In this video, we are going to focus on the common idiom, the tip of the iceberg, by listening to a short mystery story. This narrative approach is designed to help you internalize new vocabulary and understand how native speakers use idioms to describe hidden problems or complex situations. So, settle in, listen closely, and let's improve your English together. Harrison sat in his cramped flat in Brixton, watching the grey rain streak against the window pane. As an investigative journalist for a mid-sized London newspaper, he was accustomed to long days and endless cups of tea, but today felt different. On his small wooden table lay a plain white envelope. It had arrived that morning without a stamp or a return address. Inside, there was a single folded sheet of paper with a brief message scrawled in blue ink. It read, "Check the Green Hill Logistics fuel report. The error is not an accident." Harrison rubbed his eyes and sighed. He received crank letters fairly often, but something about the specific nature of this note piqued his curiosity. He grabbed his raincoat and headed out to the tube station to travel into central London. Once he arrived at the bustling newsroom, Harrison logged into his computer and pulled up the public financial records for Green Hill Logistics. It was a massive company, and their blue and white lorries were a common sight on every motorway in the UK. On the surface, the company looked impeccably managed. However, Harrison spent 3 hours combing through the fine print of their quarterly returns. Eventually, he found it. There was a discrepancy in the fuel costs, a gap of only £500. For a multi-million-pound corporation, such a small sum seemed irrelevant, perhaps just a clerical error or a lost receipt. Unsure of how to proceed, Harrison decided to meet with an old contact named Helena, a former auditor who knew the industry inside out. They met on a bench along the south bank, the cold wind blowing off the River Thames. Harrison handed her the printout and pointed to the missing £500. He suggested it was probably nothing, just a mistake. Helena looked at the paper, her face pale and serious. She shook her head slowly. She told him that he was looking at it the wrong way. She explained that in fraud cases, a small error is rarely just an error. She whispered that this missing £500 was merely the tip of the iceberg. Beneath that small figure, she warned, lay a massive scheme that nobody had noticed yet. Harrison returned to his desk with a newfound sense of urgency. Helena's warning echoed in his mind. If the £500 was indeed just the tip of the iceberg, he needed to find out what lay beneath the surface. He spent the next 2 days analyzing the logistics routes associated with the missing money. He realized that the fuel discrepancy only appeared on routes going towards the coast. Specifically,
Every Tuesday night, a lorry would leave the main depot in Birmingham but arrive at the ferry terminal in Dover 2 hours later than scheduled. The paperwork claimed traffic delays, but Harrison knew the motorways were generally clear at that time of night. He decided he needed to see the operation with his own eyes. On Tuesday evening, Harrison drove his battered car to a service station just off the M20 motorway, a spot where the lorries frequently stopped. He parked in the shadows near the lorry park and waited. The smell of petrol and damp tarmac hung in the air. Around midnight, a Grin Hill logistics vehicle pulled in. The driver climbed out, looking exhausted and nervous. He walked towards the shop to buy a coffee. Harrison saw his chance. He stepped out of his car and approached the man near the entrance. The driver was a middle-aged man named Martin, wearing a high-visibility jacket stained with oil. Harrison introduced himself as a journalist, but rather than walking away, Martin looked relieved, as if he had been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. They stood by the coffee machine, speaking in hushed tones. Harrison asked about the 2-hour delay. Martin glanced around the shop to ensure no one was listening. He admitted that the delay wasn't due to traffic. He explained that they were ordered to stop at an unregistered warehouse to pick up unlisted cargo. When Harrison asked what the cargo was, Martin shook his head. He said he wasn't allowed to look, but the boxes were heavy, and the paperwork was always falsified. He told Harrison that the £500 wasn't a mistake. It was the bribe paid to the drivers to keep their mouths shut. Armed with Martin's confession and the financial documents, Harrison drove back to the city centre as the sun began to rise over the London skyline. He knew he had enough evidence to go to print. He spent the next 48 hours locked in his office, drinking cold coffee and typing furiously. He connected the missing fuel money to the unregistered warehouse and the hush money paid to the drivers. It turned out that the warehouse was being used to smuggle high-end electronics into the country to avoid import taxes. The operation was vast, involving millions of pounds in stolen revenue. The £500 that had initially caught Harrison's eye was indeed insignificant compared to the scale of the crime hidden beneath. When the newspaper hit the stands on Sunday morning, the impact was immediate. The headline, "Green Hill's Hidden Route," was splashed across the front page. By midday, the police and customs officers had raided the warehouse off the M20 motorway. They discovered thousands of boxes of undeclared goods, confirming every detail of Harrison's investigation. The company directors were arrested, and an internal inquiry was launched immediately. Martin, having turned whistleblower, was given protection and kept his job during the transition. Harrison sat in his flat that evening, watching the news report on the television. He thought back to that rainy afternoon when he first opened the anonymous letter. He realized how easy it would have been to ignore that tiny financial discrepancy. It was a perfect example of why details matter. Helena had been absolutely right when they met on the South Bank. The missing money was visible and small, but the corruption it concealed was massive and dangerous. Harrison smiled, satisfied that he had looked below the surface and revealed the rest of the iceberg.
That brings us to the end of our story for today. I hope you enjoyed following Harrison's investigation and seeing how a small clue led to a major discovery with the help of Helena and Martin. Notice how we used the idiom "the tip of the iceberg" to describe a situation where a small, visible problem is just a hint of a much larger hidden issue. We also used vocabulary related to mystery and crime, such as discrepancy, whistleblower, and evidence, which are very useful for discussing news and current events. If you found this lesson helpful, please remember to click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories. See you in the next lesson.